And welcome everybody to a special edition, I guess you would call it, of From Pillar to Post. Actually, no, this ain't From Pillar to Post. That's tomorrow. See, I'm getting confused already, guys. See what happens when you mess with my flow? Damn you, McAllister. This is the official, unofficial CWF Mid-Atlantic After Show for episode 135, which I'm calling For a Good Cause. And golly, oof, did this show need a cause? Joe's going to be a bit brutal tonight, folks, because I was there live for most of this. I was, man, that crowd. Oof. That crowd in that ring. Jeebus. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Be sure to check out tomorrow. I'm going to throw it up for you. Tomorrow at 10 o'clock, I am going to do an episode live of From Pillar to Post. And just some of the things that we're going to talk about tomorrow. You may have seen it already. Some of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow. The Disney-Fox, 21st Century Fox merger is scheduled to be announced tomorrow. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about the DCEU. Yeah, that's right. All those DC all those DC films, specifically Justice League, that have been released so far. We're going to run down them and run down why they're in such peril and how they can fix it. Wrestle Kingdom 12 is starting to take shape more and more. The last few days, we've gotten a lot of Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho build. And Mega Man X. We're going to talk a little bit about Mega Man. He's on the cover of this month's Game Informer. There's a Mega Man 11 that has been announced and a Mega Man X collection that is coming to major consoles next year. I'm so excited about that. You can find out all that and more tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern on From Pillar to Post. But we're here to talk about CWF here tonight, folks. Again, episode 135, which I am dubbing For a Great Cause. What up, John? John Miller's in the chat room. Now, before we talk about tonight's episode, I want to address something here. A lot of people on Twitter do this. When I mention something about an episode that's coming up, that I know something about, I'll put it to you this way. If I don't go to the live show, I don't know. And I like it that way. And I know certain people are going to think I'm calling them out here on this, but it's not. It's not one particular person, because several people come to me or DM me and ask me about this. I don't like giving away spoilers. We're going to talk a little bit more on the Pillar to Post tomorrow about spoilers and how they're affecting movies nowadays, and how they're affecting just all forms of media, including pro wrestling. We'll talk about how it's affecting pro wrestling tonight. I want to play something for you here. For those of you who may know me, I like Collider. I like their movie talk show that they do every day on YouTube. And there's a guy who does that show named Mark Ellis. And Mark gives a little bit of a passionate speech about how spoilers are kind of ruining the Star Wars build this year. I know this is veering a little bit off pro wrestling, but I promise you, I'm going to play this clip from Movie Talk today where he gives a little bit of a rant about spoilers and people giving spoiler reviews of stuff. But I want you guys to hear him, because he brings up a lot of valid points that transfer into what I do here on the After Show. So indulge me for a few minutes. Listen to Mr. Ellis speak. What he's going to speak about is Star Wars. For those who don't know, I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday, the review embargo lifted. And a lot of people were doing spoiler reviews of Star Wars before it's even in theaters here. Yes, I know it was in theaters internationally, but to me, you should always focus on the domestic crowd first. If I live in China or Australia or whatever and I want a spoilers review, I'll go to a YouTuber who's Chinese or Australian and get it from them. It's just, and that's why I say, the movies box office numbers. That's why I only pay attention to domestic box office numbers. But anyway, I'm getting way off topic here. But I want to play this clip. A lot of what he says here is how I feel about spoilers in general nowadays. But let's let Mr. Ellis preach a little bit here.
The Last Jedi comes out in theaters this week, and it's already opening in some international markets today. And if you're lucky enough to live in one of those places, congratulations. Enjoy the movie. And before we kick off here, I just want to make a quick note. Occasionally things come across my metaphorical news desk because I don't have a real one here. And I noticed something yesterday is the term spoilers gets talked. Sometimes we see it infiltrate our community, whether it's with a fan that saw a movie early or even it's somebody in our own industry. And such was the case yesterday when I noticed a number of my colleagues going back and forth on social media with somebody at a very prominent publication who wrote a review of The Last Jedi and had a pretty major spoiler in there, and then they got very defensive about it. So either this writer is just ignorant, and it's hard for me to believe that because Star Wars is a pretty well-known property, and you work at one of the most popular publications currently in the film industry, or maybe you just didn't pay attention to the fact that you had this in there, and there's a possibility that you didn't know that people were going to take this the wrong way. However, I think I might surmise something else, is that maybe you don't care about this, and maybe you think it's fun to antagonize people who do. Maybe you think it's fun to say, you know what, I don't care about you. I'm going to go ahead and give this away because this is my opinion, and I don't think it's a spoiler. You have to be better than that. It's hard for me to believe that you're not a talented enough writer because you work at such a popular place to forge your own review where you don't have to give away too many details. So let's take a second and just think about what you wrote back to everybody who called you out yesterday. You actually quoted that critics don't spoil movies, only filmmakers do that. Let me tell you a little something about the blessing and the curse that is human beings. Once we get privileged information, we are now capable of spoiling that to a group of people. If we give that unprovoked and unsolicited, that could be considered a spoiler. And look, I give you all the credibility in the world because I get it too. I get a little sick of Star Wars fanboys going at it all day online and having their theories and all this stuff. I get sick of it. But for every one of those people / bots, there's 10,000 just ordinary, everyday human beings that really look forward to this stuff, and they work hard, and it's a really scary world in 2017. There's a whole lot of scary things going on in the real world. It's one of the most politically divisive times of the last 100 years. There's other countries that have weapons that are aimed at us. There's a whole lot of things for us to be afraid of. So occasionally we can be forgiven if we just want to go to a galaxy far, far away and not know too much about it before we enter that universe. The words a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away mean we're about to enter a place for the next 2 to 2.5 hours that is secretive, that is mysterious, that's going to surprise us. So do not ruin that illusion because we work hard for this stuff, okay? And look, you're a critic, you made a mistake, you went back at it, you did the one cardinal sin you can't do. You criticized somebody else's art, and then when people criticize you, you got defensive. It ain't gonna work like that. You need thicker skin, and you need to be better about not giving away spoilers. So here's my holiday wish, not just for this person, because I'm sure you woke up today and you realized the error of your ways, and you're gonna be a better human being for it. Anybody, whether you're a fan, you're a writer, you're a movie pundit, if you think that giving away spoilers is a fun thing, this is my holiday wish, is that you get visited by however many ghosts you need to convince your smug Ebenezer Scrooge posterior of 2 things. 1, you are capable of spoiling something for someone else. And 2, the righteous way is to not do it. So if you think it's going to be a fun gag, or you really want to get people who just get too excited about their stupid fandom, instead of doing that, just take a second, walk outside, collect yourself, and breathe. Just breathe. Okay.
And that comes courtesy of Collider Movie Talk. And how that translates into the CWF world is that my opinion is this. I get a run sheet. I call it a run sheet because it's a funny technical term to use. Grant DMs me on Twitter basically the YouTube description of the YouTube show. I'm getting there, wrestling guy. Just listen, I know you're on a bit of a delay here with this, but some people do like spoilers, but here's my thing on this. I'm not going to be the one to give them to you. I made that decision about at least 3 or 4 months ago, even when Jeff Edwards was on this show. I gave it my vow to you guys that I would not spoil anything for you unless the company goes ahead and spoils it themselves. And even I don't like the fact that the company spoils it themselves. I hate the fact that, and that's my biggest pet peeve about CWF is that, yes, they do the show live, and then they spoil it directly afterwards. And I'm like, why? Why? Just tell your fans, hey, couldn't make it to the Sportatorium? Check us out on YouTube because we got a heck of a few weeks of Worldwide lined up for you. To me, that's the most, and I know they do it themselves. So, and I know wrestling is different than movies, and it's yin and yang kind of. There are a lot of similarities there, but I get that run sheet, which is basically the YouTube description, because Grant sends it to me out of the kindness of his heart. I don't ask for it, never have really. Some weeks he doesn't send it to me because he wants me to be surprised about what they're throwing up there. I don't discourage them. Why not? Sorry. Here's how it should work. Here's how it should work. Yeah, you're right. Don't look at the places that they post the results. But here's, with the pro wrestling aspect of it, when they're trying to make a little bit of money, here's how, to me, it should work. I drive an hour, okay? I know there's some people that have driven 6-8 hours. There were people who flew in for FanCon, but they don't go to, I drive an hour each way, back and forth, to go to these shows. And then I sit here and I review it every week on Worldwide. My opinion on this is that if you want spoilers, go ahead and read them, okay? What happened to the Thursday show? The Thursday show is going to be on next week. I ended up not being able to work tonight due to a system issue, so I decided to go ahead and get it out of the way tonight. We will be having a show tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. It's an episode of From Pillar to Post where I will talk things other than CWF. But my point is this. If you want to be spoiled, go ahead and read them, okay? But if I post something on Twitter, don't poke and prod me about what I know or may not know, because you're not going to get it out of me. So, if you want to know what happened before it happens or before it airs, get your butt in a car, find a way to get in a car, hop a bus, hop a train, hop a plane, and get to the Sportatorium, pay your $10 to $25 like I do, and spoil yourself ahead of time. If what they put out as a spoiler isn't enough for you and to where you got to go to other places and ask, just watch it on Wednesdays and find out with the rest of us, man. And it's more than one person that's been hyping it to me like, what do you know? What do you mean? What do you mean like a different setting and all this? I mean, because I had more than one person ask me tonight when I put out that tweet of, hey, these matches may not take place they may take place in a different setting, but they're Sportatorium worthy. I had people going, what the hell do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Wait till Wednesday and find out. If anything, you should be using my tweet to get yourself more excited to watch this show. That's my job as an AfterShow host. I'm not Dave Meltzer. Thank God I'm not Dave Meltzer. CWF doesn't need a Dave Meltzer. It's not a spoiler if you're there live. You're exactly right. You're not there live. But you weren't there live, John. And I'll call John out. John was one of the people that asked me what I meant by that tweet. I said, wait and see. But he wasn't the only one. Golly. Watch the show. Speaking of a different setting, we opened up with White Mike Jordan versus Trevor Lee. This ring, oh my God. I'll put it to you this way, in the main event tonight with this ring, I have here, the commentary is damn good. The ring, however, is so squeaky that it sounds like a 1970s clothes washing machine that your mother used to own. And you could not hear the commentary at certain points, or even the crowd, over this squeaky-ass ring. CWF has shows at other venues. Yeah, they do. And and you know what? Sometimes it is good to get out of the sportatorium. They're going to Chapel Hill late January. You know, but this ring just sounded like a 1970s Maytag washing machine that is still being used in 2017. And it actually broke. The ring actually broke. I want to say right after during the third match of this show, which is it was an awesome show. It was a neat little show for a Relay for Life. It was for a good cause. That's why I'm calling this episode For a Good Cause. So the effort was good. The main problem I have here, I put here, the ring is bad and the crowd is dead. The Trevor Lee match and the Fatal 4-Way were the only two matches, from what I saw, that this crowd really gave a crap about. And I said it when they aired it. I think I even said it to someone on Twitter. If you think I've been fluffy all year long and just powdering the ads, then I know this isn't CWF's fault, but they did put it on their TV. They did put it on their YouTube show. They did. It is an episode of Worldwide. It is canon. This squeaky fucking ring is canon. I know. There goes Joe getting hyped up about something he shouldn't. Just ignore it, Joe, you stupid Mark. I know. But I couldn't ignore it. There's some parts here I couldn't ignore it. So anyway, White Mike versus Trevor Lee. The ring is bad. It reminded me of a 2004 Ring of Honor ring with all that tape in the middle of it. This match was for a Bound for Glory 2005 DVD, which really kind of sits here and makes me cock my head to the side here and go, doesn't Trevor Lee work for Impact Wrestling? Therefore, if he wanted a copy of a 2005 Bound for Glory DVD, he could go get one. I'm damn sure he could call up Don West and say, you gotta be kidding me. By the way, I want to say an episode from 2006 or 7 of From Pillar to Post or New Search Live, back when it was called New Search Live, with Don West as our guest, is somewhere on the channel. Feel free to go have a listen. It's a hell of an interview. It has 2006 audio quality, so it sounds like we're underwater, but that's back before podcasting was even a thing, so have fun. Listen to it. Actually, Don West is a hell of an interview. We get an Indian Deathlock by Trevor Lee here, or a variation of an Indian Deathlock. Trevor Lee always impresses me when he busts out these Indian Deathlocks and all these different submission moves. We got a Mexican surfboard. White Mike avoids the PK on the floor and gives the classic White Mike Jordan scream. Busts out a backstabber. I love how they mention on commentary that Trevor Lee is not the same elsewhere. Out of that building, out of that sacred sportatorium that is like a character in and of itself. And boy, this week did I miss it. Thank God it's going to re-debut next week. But I love how they actually put over the fact here. They finally acknowledge the fact that if you see, and I took this to mean this, if you see him in a PWG or an Impact or anywhere except for that building, he's just not the same. Take that for however you will. He's not booked the same. He doesn't wrestle the same. But it's true. It's damn true. CL Party here putting over White Mike Jordan, talking about how he's not used to wrestling. When White Mike wrestles elsewhere, it's usually in parking lots. That was funny. CL with her commentary tonight just stole the damn show. So it's CL on commentary. The commentary was really good during this entire episode. White Mike really wants that DVD, CL says during the match. So White Mike may not be able to, or White Mike may not be able to go just pick one up off the shelf over at Don West's house, but or the warehouse. Do they even have a warehouse? They moved everything to Canada, haven't they? I wonder if that means Trevor Lee gets paid in Canadian money and not U.S. money when he works Impact now. White Mike had a pretty looking Falcon Arrow. That was about it for Trevor Lee, though. Hit a bunch of chops and the PK and into the STF for the win. Pretty good match between these two. Not a whole lot of comedy. I was expecting when I first heard this match announced for this show, I was like, okay, we're going to get a different Trevor Lee here. We're going to get a more comical yuck Trevor Lee here to adapt to White Mike's style. White Mike was not as ha-ha and cheeky as he normally is here, so that was refreshing. A little bit of a different look since we last saw White Mike at the Kernodle Cup. He's got longer hair now. I love CL, but I miss Cecil and Stutz. Feels like it's been a while. Yeah, it does. But they'll be back next week. I have a feeling. I'll say it here. It was funny because minus, before 4 weeks ago, a month ago, I was sitting there going, the next 2 weeks is something you got to see. And I find myself saying that here, the next 2 weeks of Worldwide is something that you have to see because it's the road to Battlecade, which will mean that I believe Battlecade is going to start airing on January 3rd. It'll be interesting to see if they air all of it in its entirety. I think they should. Last year, they broke it up into 2 episodes, but we'll see. We'll see what they have up their sleeve. Decent opener here. Really decent opener here. I really like the White Mike Trevor Lee match. I like the fact that White Mike wasn't as comical as normal. So, next week will be Cecil. That's right. Next week is Cecil and CL. So, it's I think next week is the Christmas episode, or unless they're airing the Christmas. Yeah, next week I think is the Christmas episode. And then they do the Road to Battlecade. So, or the quote, well, the next 2 weeks is the Road to Battlecade. We had one half of the Brutes, Mark James, which I don't think we've seen Mark James on Worldwide TV since the Rumble 2 years ago. Oh, the usual 3 weeks for Battlecade stuff, or as Grant says. So that'll mean January 3rd, 10th, and 17th, unless they.
And now we're going to kick off the show.
There we go. I got to close that. Sorry about that. Unless they throw something else in there. So next week is Christmas. Okay, good. I thought you were going to type next week is Osiris there. I'm like, no, it ain't. That's what it kind of looked like there. One half of the Brutes, Mark James, cuts a promo with Stutzy. Pretty decent promo. Talking about how this is his last year in the business, but it'd be a nice way to cap off this last year with a PWI title run. Does that mean Kane versus Joey? I believe. I'm not sure which week that airs on because they could swip it around. Oh, there you go. 12/27. Because I was going to say, I think they filmed that in the second episode of Worldwide. But we then got a John Skyler promo talking about how he's the top prospect. And these promos were short, sweet, to the point. Can't really say nothing bad about them. C.W. Anderson versus Mark James. Dead crowd. Decent effort by these two. Skyler and Wayne, who are the Damian Wayne, who's the Extreme Horseman, come out there and provide a little bit of a distraction. CW ends up getting the win. I got to say that just the crowd, I mean, even live, the crowd took the air out of, just took the heat out of this. Maybe they should have done pop-up video here. I mean, but then again, the commentary was so good. You needed something because that crowd just, man. Again, it's not CWF's fault. We got the Battlecade Control Center with CL Party. So the build there is starting, At least this was a little bit of a veering in that direction. I liked it. I'll go over the card here in just a minute for this for Battlecade here, because we did get some additions to it tonight. Fatal 4-Way. John Skyler versus Tracer X versus Chet Sterling versus Eric Royal. I love this. Even though the crowd wasn't as into it as if it were, if it were to be held at the Sportatorium, I love this. Royal eliminates Tracer X. I put here that the commentary is really good. The commentary was really good during this match. Stutzy really trying to help tell the story, tying everything together. I put here they actually had a hard cam, and if you noticed, we had very few shots from it during this episode. Grant doesn't like hard cams, folks. Again, the ring is squeaky. Sounds like a damn 1960s Maytag dryer or washer. Skyler is damn good, of course. If you've seen PWX or even a couple episodes of NXT that he was on, you know how damn good he is. I wish we could see more of him in CWF. Chet then eliminates Skyler. The crowd's becoming more alive here. Royal and Chet have a damn good, I would have liked to see those two go on longer, and I think we'll see them again down the road. Can't get enough of when those two go at it. It's amazing. And Royal ends up winning with holding on to the ropes. It's a fatal 4-way, so there's no DQ anyway. And that was your episode, guys. Nice, short, sweet, to the point. And I can't wait to get back to the Sportatorium next week. That's all I can say. I do like properly used hard cams. Yeah, but I mean, the hard cam is not your signature, though. The hard cam is... I don't like where this hard cam was placed, though. I don't know if that's something Grant set up or what. Because every time the hard cam would go on, you could see the boys peeking out of the locker room watching the matches. I know, stupid Mark. But anyway. Battlecade X8 comes your way December 30th from the Mid-Atlantic Sportatorium with a special start time of 7 p.m. Get your tickets now, CWF247.com. Front row, sold out. But they did release that there is some second row VIP seats that are still available. Get your tickets now, CWFtickets.com. And, of course, you can find all the news news going on about CWF on CWF247.com. I'm going to run down this card here. I did it last week. I'll do it every week until Battlecade. Of course, you got the first blood match, Roy Wilkins versus Trevor Lee for the Mid-Atlantic title. Rick Converse versus C.W. Anderson in an I Quit match for the PWI title. CWF tag title, the Dawsons versus the Sandwich Squad in the last man standing match. Yeah, this probably could have waited till morning. Do I sound that grumpy? Joe probably could have slept on this episode more. He would have liked it. It's been a long 2 weeks, folks, with this job, I swear. CWF TV title, Eric Royal versus Jesse Adler. PWI Ultra J title. The build for this is good, and they hinted at it tonight. I'll leave it there. RGL, hopefully leading off the show there as it should. Mike Mars versus the Dirty Daddy. Kane Justice is going up against Nick Richards. The build for that, again, the build for that is amazing. These are not spoilers. They've already announced the card. So I really can't. It's not really a spoiler here. But the build up for these I'm not going to spoil because it's they're damn good builds. It's again, with CWF, as Sophia here in our chat room has pointed out time and time again, it's not about what the ending is. It's how you get to that ending or how you get to that main goal. And they've kicked it out of the hit it out of the park again this year with how they're getting to that end game. We did get some details about the Scramble match on CWF's Twitter this week. Snooty Fox and John Schuyler have been announced for the Scramble match. And then tonight they announced that the Ugly Ducklings will be appearing at Battlecade. Rob Killjoy, Lance Lude, of course, with Coach Mikey. I will say this, that after sitting there at their last TV tapings, at their last worldwide tapings, I get Fox being in the Scramble. Kind of get John Schuyler being in the Scramble. I don't know what they're going to have the Ducks do on this card. They haven't been seen since the Coronado Cup. So I don't know. They were in. Wait, I take that back. Were they on the last Chapel Hill show? Have to go back and check. But they've been very sporadic. Let's put it that way. So it makes, when they said that they would be appearing, I'm like, oh, okay. Don't know what the hell they're going to do. They kind of hinted at Ethan Alexander Sharp getting to do something kind of special at Battlecade this year. At least that's what I got from that tweet that they sent out. I hope to God they don't waste him and put him up in a tag team. You know, the last thing I want to see is him and Otto against the Ugly Ducklings at Battlecade. Not after the year that, not after the year that Sharp and Otto have had. I think they're both better than that. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. I think that Sharpie's had a hell of a year, even though, it's had some ups and downs during the summer. But even during the summer with him and Sis, the stuff with him and Sis was good. I felt like since Sis has, quote-unquote, gone by the wayside, Sharpie has stepped up, I'll say it again. Since Absolute Justice, the entire hardcore main group core roster has just really stepped it up. From Ethan Alexander Sharp to, Eric Royal even, Trevor Lee, Roy Wilkins, Kane Justice, all the way to Sharpie, and even, even McAllister and Nick Richards may have had that little break there at the end of the summer, but even he has stepped it up. The Sandwich Squad, even the Dawsons, who are not CWF regulars, which, hell, they kind of have been CWF regulars since Absolute Justice. They've stepped up their game, too. So, I mean, it's almost to me, and again, this is my opinion, it's almost to me that you could get by with booking a Battlecade without really bringing in any outside talent like a John Schuyler or an Ugly Ducklings. You don't need them. That roster, ever since Absolute Justice, has really proven themselves. Hell, I'll say the AIW, was it AIW? If I'm getting that right, people from Ohio have been there more than Schuyler and the Ducklings have. Now, I know it's just due to booking. They're indie guys that can't be booked there, but maybe give those guys a shot on this show. Frankie Flynn maybe deserves to be on this show. Cam Carter is nowhere to be found on this show. Not yet. Not yet. Again, I should say yet. Eric Andrews. He has some interesting stuff in the next 2 weeks. I think he'll be on the card. Again, I have faith in Grant and Stutzy and everybody there at CWF that we're going to have a hell of a Battlecade this year. It's going to be a hell of a show. So, we're still waiting for Jesse Adler to have a breakout performance on his second return, says Jonathan Miller in the chat room, and I agree. I said it it may have been last week or the week before. Adler coming back has kind of fell flat for me. And I think it's the way that, you come back And from a worldwide perspective, I'll just say this, because the Sportatorium, knows who he is and they like him and everything like that, so they're going to cheer for him no matter what. But from a worldwide perspective, and I even said this before, for him to come in and just be thrust into that title picture and just, here's a belt, welcome back. I don't think it's settled well. I don't even think it's settled well with the people there in the Sportatorium. I'll be honest with you. I hear the crowd reaction when he comes out. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. This whole thing, to me, kind of has like a really, is this the battle, Cade, that I thought we were going to get? No. Oh, man, no. Hell, everybody thought we were getting Chet versus Trevor this year. Everybody thought we were getting Chet versus Trevor. Anybody who says they didn't think that we were getting Chet versus Trevor is lying their asses off. Because everybody at that Rumble, everybody at FanCon, everybody was saying it. I didn't expect it. I mean, Roy, and we have a couple questions here about CWF that I got here on Twitter, one of which is from Jonathan Miller. Thank you for sending that over. How do you think they'll pull off a great first blood match? I don't think I've ever seen one. This comes from Jonathan Miller. He's at CWFan96 on Twitter. I think that with this, you have to kind of go old school with it. In the same sense that no other match should have blood on this card. If that's the case, and if that's the route they take, and this is the only match that's going to have any kind of color in it that isn't Hardway, of course. Grant being a smart-ass. Grant Sawyer, I didn't think we were getting Chet versus Trevor. Anyway, the first blood match. I think you go old school with it. The knockout blow, so to speak, or the blood-drawing blow, has to be big. It has to be epic, and it has to be built towards it. Maybe you get a couple stiff kicks, or whatever the case may be. And the ref moves in. Hey, are you bleeding? Checks the forehead real good. No, you bleeding anywhere on your scalp? No, okay, go back at it. Maybe you do that once or twice during the match. But I think, honestly, if I'm booking the finish of this match, just the way everything's been told, Coach Jim and I they do the classic spot. And this is just a classic spot, and it's something CWF would do, and it's something that I think CWF could damn well get away with. I think you have them in the middle of the ring, and Coach goes to throw the knuckles at Roy. Roy gets knocked out of the way, and Trevor Lee gets the knuckles instead. Catches the knuckles instead. The crowd's like, oh, shit, Trevor's got the knucks. Trevor puts the knucks on, blasts Roy in the face. That's your bloody shot. That's your payback shot. There you go. Do I think we're seeing Roy Wilkins walk out of there with the belt? No. Do I think that's the finish that we'll probably see now that I've said it? No. But if I was booking it, that's how I'd do it. Because it's a classic old school wrestling finish given the way that they built up to it. Hell, maybe even Coach gets a knockout shot and gets color in this. I doubt it, but I do think Coach takes a big old bump during the match. But that's the way I see it. Hey, maybe, like I said, he goes to throw it to Wilkins, throw the knucks to Wilkins, and they go over Wilkins' head, or they have a big kerfluffle, and Lee comes out as the victor with the brass knuckles, and he tags Wilkins with the knuckles, busts him open, and that's it. It's a classic pro wrestling finish. It's a classic quote-unquote first blood match finish. It's the finish that I think makes sense. Or hell, maybe I'm wrong in this, because I've been saying it for all along. The All-Stars need a win. Maybe they do the old, my son wanted to see the King of the Ring 98 the other day. He specifically asked me to watch Mankind and Taker Hell in a Cell. He goes, can we watch the match where he falls off the top of the cage? My 7-year-old son wanted to see the blood and the guts and the thumbtacks. So after that, he's then like wanting to watch the main event, because after that I think it was Austin and Kane First Blood, and they do the bit where Undertaker comes in and busts Austin open with the chair. The referee wakes up after a bump and sees it and calls for the bell. Maybe they go and the heel wins. Kane won. That was his 24-hour title reign. Maybe they do something like that. Eric should get the W there in the TV title match. I think we'll get that. I got a whole big old prediction video up there. I may have to do a revised version of the predictions video coming up, depending on what they decide to do with this Scramble match and where the Ugly Ducklings decide to fall on this card. And I like the Ugly Ducklings. They're a great act. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think they have a place here. That's just me. Then again, stupid Mark. What do you know, Joe? Get in the ring and take a bump, Joe White, if you think you can book something. I know. But hey, that's the after show for this week. I want to thank you guys so much for listening. Again, tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., I'm going to be doing a live episode of my original podcast that kicked it all off from Pillar to Post tomorrow. And we're going to talk about quite a few things, again, that are up there on your screen right now. This is tomorrow morning. The 21st Century Fox Disney merger, from what I've been... Murder. It's like a murder. It's a murder, as Cecil would say. But the merger, the acquisition of 21st Century Fox by Disney, it's expected to be announced tomorrow before the opening of the stock market so that they can have huge stock numbers. Generally, when they do that, though, maybe it'll dip, but we're going to be talking about what this means for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what exactly they're going to buy, what this means for the Marvel Universe as far as Fox goes. It's going to be a lot to talk about. We're also going to talk about the DCEU, what they're doing with this cluster of a DCEU with Justice League bombing. And I've seen Justice League. I don't think it's the worst thing that they put out. It was better than Batman versus Superman, but it's definitely not the best thing ever, folks. It definitely, it took them 12 days at the box office. It took them almost, I'll take that back. That came out right before Thanksgiving. It took them almost a month at the box office just to make what the Avengers made on their opening weekend. And Justice League is DC's version of the Avengers. It should have made equal, if not more. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We're also going to talk more wrestling other than CWF tomorrow. Wrestle Kingdom 12 is fast approaching. That's January 4th. Is it a double main event? Chris Jericho had some strong words to say. I don't know if they were in character or out of character. Had some strong words to say about Naito. And why is Mega Man down at the bottom of the screen? Well, Mega Man is on the cover of the newest Game Informer. Mega Man 11 has been announced for next year, as well as Mega Man X, the X Collection. So we'll talk a little bit about Mega Man and some more video games, including WWE 2K18, and why the port that they... Oh, man. We're going to talk about how I was right about that port for the Nintendo Switch. We're going to talk all that and more tomorrow, right here on the channel, live at 10 a.m. So go ahead and jump back. Feel free to jump back in the chat room tomorrow or catch the archive of it. The audio version of this archive can now be found on iTunes. I will send out a link to this later on in the week. You can also go to, I believe it's Spreaker.com, and I'll post the Spreaker link on Twitter as well, where you can find me. It's Spreaker, that's SPREAKER.com/user/CWF AfterShow, all one word. If you would like to download the audio version of this podcast. Is it a podcast? I guess it's a podcast. It's a podcast radio show. It's live radio. But if you want to download this to your iPhone or Android device, that's how you do it. The after show for episode 134, Pop-Up Worldwide, is sitting there right now. I want to thank each and every one of you who hit the like button and downloaded or listened to it on Spreaker and iTunes as well. That's going to do it for me, folks. If you have a question that you want to submit for the after show here, I'm at Joe Pillar to Post on Twitter. Drop me a DM there. Drop me a line there. I'll be sure to ask it. Shout out to our official and unofficial sponsor, American Lucha Designs. If you're a wrestler or a podcaster and you would like a logo for your merchandise, your ring gear, whatever the case may be, contact my my friends over at American Lucha Designs, at American Lucha on Twitter. They'll hook you up with pricing and more info for your, they do a lot of good work. If you notice the signs the last few weeks on Worldwide, they do incredible graphic designs over there at American Lucha. You may even see some of their work floating around at Battlecade from what I hear. It's a little tidbit for you. Come to Battlecade with extra money. That's all I'm going to say here. We'll see you next week, folks.